Well, hello there, fellow writers, fellow readers. This week of writing didn't go that great, and when I say that, I should kind of give a little bit of I don't know clarification. So, for anybody who writes, you know that there's a lot more to writing than actually just sitting down and typing the words. Like you have to think things through, and you have to kind of make things make sense and write the whole story and make sure that all the different pieces are fitting together and that you closed off all the story arcs, and you have to make sure that everything just sounds good, like that when people are reading your story, they're actually going to enjoy it. And that is what I've been doing a lot of this week. So I think I've gotten most of the actual problems resolved with the story. But what I've been doing over the past couple weeks is a lot more character development. So I didn't like the way that the main character was being written. I felt like he was kind of being written blah, and I was trying to make it more realistic and kind of flow a little bit better. And I was doing this whole the way the story goes. It kind of is a split thing, and it just wasn't working. Like it was just it wasn't smooth. And so I was thinking, I'm just gonna fix this. And so I started working on the character development, how I want the character to develop into who I wanted to be at the end. And you know, just kind of what does that look like? How do people develop and how do people change as they go through these things? But it kind of got to be more than that. I was thinking about what makes a story really enjoyable, and I was sitting back looking at my story and saying, this isn't good enough to have a good idea or a good story. You have to write it in a good way. You have to deliver it in a good way, and you have to make people care. And that's part of the thing that I'm kind of struggling with right now. Like I can get a bunch of words written, but is it going to be a story that people want to read, that sticks with them, with a character that like is interesting, and that people actually want to stick with? And that's, I guess, where a lot of this changes. And I was actually talking to some friends of mine who were telling me about the things that they're looking for in stories, and these different stories that to them really really meant something. Like one of the stories that they brought up was The Name of the Wind. Now I'm not a big fan of The Name of the Wind. Eh, whatever. It's not a bad book. I'm just not really into it. And but for these friends I was talking to, this story really meant something to them. And I was just sitting back and thinking about my story, and I was just thinking how easy it is to just kind of write in kind of a pretentious way, write in such a way where it's like I don't connect with the reader. And I think that's probably the biggest problem right now with this story, is I don't think it's really connecting to anyone. And I want it to, but it's not. And so that's kind of what I've been working on over the past week. Not so much writing words down, but trying to reimagine the story as a story that will connect with people and kind of mean something, and kind of be believable, and maybe not necessarily where you enjoy it, where everything that you wanted to happen happened, but where it's like a genuine story. And that's kind of what I want my stories to be. I want them to mean something. When I was a kid, I wanted to write, but I didn't really have a purpose or a drive to my writing. I just liked the idea of books, and I liked the idea of writing. Well, as I've gone through different things, I've realized that um, I now have a reason for why I write, and that reason is that I want to take people on an adventure. I want to, kind of help them to, enjoy a few minutes of their day. I want to write for people who are going through, chemo, going through, these life changing situations. People and kids in foster care. I want to write for these kinds of people who, are going through something, and my stories can offer them just like a little bit of a break from what's going on around them, something that kind of gives them encouragement and hope. And that's kind of what I want. That's kind of what I want. What I want my stories to mean. I don't necessarily want my stories to sell so much as have a story that actually means something to somebody, and realizing that there's so much more to writing a story than simply writing. And I think that's one of the things that I really got from talking to people over the last week is like the name of the one, once again, stories that actually meant something to them, stories that stuck with them. And so that's kind of what I'm working on. Don't really have much of an update as far as word count, but I hope to kind of get that as the time moves forward. So, anyways, thanks for watching, guys.